Hey YouTube, it's Rob. So I got another video for you guys today. It's another hybrid kind of build. It's a Overpower, Hammer of the Ancients, and Whirlwind mixed build. I already tried recording this video once, then I realized I recorded my desktop, so let's hope I actually do this right this time. This is going to be a build that I like to use on MP10. This is I think about a 530k DPS build, depending on your gear, of course, but this is a very high DPS build. In this video, I'm going to show you guys the skills that I'm using, the runes I'm using, and I'm going to explain a little bit as to why I'm using each of the skills and runes that I'm using. So let's jump right into this. The first skill I'm using is Rend with the Lacerate Rune. Rend does a 700% AoE weapon physical damage over 5 seconds to everybody within all nearby enemies. I guess it doesn't give you an exact range. But it does 700% weapon damage, puts a dot on them for 5 seconds. I'm using the Lacerate Ruin that does puts it up to 903% weapon damage. This is just a nice increase of the DPS output on this skill. This Ruin is interchangeable with Bloodlust, which, depending on what your survivability rate is, you could switch this out with Bloodlust and get some lifesteal back instead of increasing your DPS. So if you're having a hard time surviving, you can just change this over to this, and this will make a huge difference. But as of right now, I'm just using the 903% weapon damage increase because instead of using the Bloodlust, I'm using an Immortal King's Belt, which has lifesteal on it, and that seems to be sufficient enough to keep me alive. If it's not working for you, you could switch that over to the Bloodlust one. That's perfectly fine, and it works almost as well. It'll just increase your survivability as opposed to DPS. So whichever one works for you. The second skill I'm using is Whirlwind. It does exactly what it sounds like. It does 145% weapon damage, and I'm using the Hurricane Ruin, which increases your movement speed and maintains your full movement speed while whirlwinding. If you don't use this rune, you're going to be moving at a reduced rate, and moving at a slower rate decreases your survivability. And be able to move faster is just nice for trying to stay alive, and it's just irritating moving slower. So this is a really nice thing to have to maintain your full movement speed. As you can see, I'm not really using any fury generating attacks, but I'll get into that in a minute as to why later. The third skill I'm using is Sprint. Does exactly what it sounds like again, increases your movement speed by 40%. I'm using the Run Like the Wind Rune, which makes it to where you drop tornadoes behind you as you're running that do 60% weapon damage for 3 seconds. This is just nice for placing down a little area of DPS, and they generate extra fury and they crit and just bringing back in more life from your life still. So this is nice to put down a little area of DPS as you are moving around. And it's just nice for increasing your movement speed as well. So this will put out some DPS. This will increase your survivability by making you move faster and letting you get out of the way of stuff a lot quicker. The next skill I'm using is Battle Rage, which increases your crit chance and your crit damage by 15% damage and 3% crit chance for 120 seconds or 2 minutes. I'm using the Into the Fray Ruin, which makes it to where your crits have a chance to generate 15 additional fury, which is really nice because this whole build's about generating fury and critting as much as possible, so this is really nice. So a lot of these skills benefit each other really well, as you'll see in just a minute as I go to the next skills. The next one I'm using is Overpower. It deals 165% weapon damage to every target within 9 yards, and each crit you hit with this decreases the cooldown by 1 second. I'm using the Killing Spree Rune, which increases your crit chance by 10% after using this skill for 6 seconds. Now this and Battle Rage go together really well because the more you're critting, the more it's reducing the cooldown on this skill, and you can pretty much eliminate the cooldown as long as you are critting like crazy. And some of the skills later as well will also play in towards this. So you're going to want to be able to stack as much crit chance as possible. It'll all benefit you all together really nicely later on. So this is a really nice skill to have if you have high crit chance, so it works out really well. It's a very powerful skill. And also, my next skill is Wrath of Berserker. This also benefits and plays towards that as well. This has 4 different effects. Increases your crit chance, your attack speed, and dodge chance and movement speed. 10%, 25%, 20%, and 20%. Now, your crit chance and your attack speed are going to increase your DPS output. It's just going to make you hit harder and hit faster. And your dodge chance and your movement speed are just really nice for survivability. You're going to have a higher chance to dodge. You're going to have a higher, more mobility, meaning you're going to be able to get out of the way of shit a lot faster. So Battle Rage, Overpower, Wrath of Berserker all benefit each other and play together very well because they all have crit chance increases, which will all in turn reduce the cooldown of your Overpower. So also the next 3, the passive skills, will also go towards that as well. Well, I guess 2 of the 3. So moving on to my passive skills, let's start with Brawler. This increases your DPS output by 30% as long as there are 3 enemies within 8 yards of you. Now, most of the time when you're playing this game, you're going to have 3 or more, up to 20 or more enemies around you. I mean, depending on what zone you're playing. If you're in Act 3, I mean, almost anywhere in the game, you're going to have 3 enemies on you at all times. So this is just going to be a hard 30% increase. Really good skill to have. I mean, the only time you're not going to be benefiting from this is when you're down to the last 1 or 2 enemies. But this is going to be a really good skill to have when you're burning down massive amounts of trash mobs. And most of the time when you're fighting elites and there's 3 elites on you, there's usually a couple trash as well with that. So this is a nice skill to have. It just throws your DPS up there an extra 30%. Moving on, the next passive skill I'm using is Ruthless. It increases your crit chance by 5% and your crit damage by 50%, which is a very significant amount. This, as I said, all goes into play with the other 3 skills very well. Your Battle Rage, Overpower, and Wrath of Berserker. The more you're critting, the more fury you're going to generate, the more it's going to reduce the cooldown on your Overpower, so you can keep on spamming your skills more, so you can keep your attacks coming, and you can just keep on putting out DPS and generating fury and bringing in more lifesteal. So this is a really nice skill to have. And also, the next skill also plays into this just as well. This has 4 different categories depending on what kind of weapon you're using. I am using a Scorn right now, and so I'm obviously benefiting from the Maces and Axes category, which is 10% crit hit chance increase. This build is very doable with a 2-handed weapon because you're generating enough fury and you're hitting fast enough with your Scorn and your other attacks that a 2-handed weapon is very doable with this. I actually kind of suggest it. It seems like it's putting out a lot of DPS, and Scorns are dirt cheap. So that you'll benefit from the 10% increased crit chance, and this will go into play very well with the other 4 skills: Weapon Master, Ruthless, Overpower, Wrath of Berserker, and Battle Rage. Those skills all complement each other extremely well, and when I'm running in my Wrath of Berserker, I believe I'm putting out 532k DPS, and my crit chance is over 80% crit, so I'm critting almost every single hit, 8 out of 10 about, if not a little more. So this is a really good crit chance build. This is all focused around crit chance and maximizing your DPS. And it does have, like I said, it has a little bit of interchangeability. If you need to, you can change out your Brawler with Bloodthirst. And also you can go to your Lacerate Ruin and change that out with Bloodlust if you need more lifesteal. That's perfectly fine. It's going to drop your DPS a little bit, but survivability matters more than DPS. So if you need to, you can change out those 2 things. And those 2 little changes right there will make a significant difference in your survivability. But as of right now, I seem to have enough gear to maintain this build and still survive an MP10. So, yeah, go ahead and give this build a try. Let me know what you think. If you like it, leave me a comment in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel. Like this video. Share it. If you have any suggestions, questions, or comments, just let me know in the comment section below. Also, before I wrap everything up, go ahead and check out the information below the video. I'm going to put a link to my Facebook. If you want updates on videos before they come out, go ahead and go down there and check that out. So you can get updates on videos before I upload them, or any video ideas that I'm going to be talking about before I even make the videos. So go ahead and check that out. If you'd like, give me a like on Facebook. Any of that stuff, everything helps. I think that's pretty much about all I've got for today. In my next video, I'll be doing a gameplay tutorial kind of video on how to actually maintain this build and how it functions at MP10 or whatever MP you're going to be playing at. So keep an eye out for that. I'll have that video out probably the same time next week, maybe sooner. So yeah, I think that's about all I've got for today. Thank you for watching, and have a great day, guys.